19.
Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta, Madhya, Chapter 19, Text 229, Translation. The exchange of spiritual happiness between Krishna and his devotee, in his in which Krishna is controlled by his devotees, compared to an ocean of nectar into which the devotee and Krishna flow. This is verdict of learned scholars who appreciate Krishna's opulence. Text 230. Again, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Supreme Personality Godhead. O my Lord, I offer my obeisances hundreds and thousands of times with all affection, because by your personal pastimes you plunge the gopis into an ocean of nectar. Appreciating your opulence, devotees generally declare that you are always subjected by their feelings. Purport. This was it from the Damodara Shaka in the Padma Purana. Text 231. On the platform of Kanja love, attachment for Krishna, rendering services unto him, the relaxed feeling of fra- fraternity, and the feelings of maintenance of all increase intimacy. Intimacy. Text 232. On the platform of Kanjala, the devotee offers his body and the service of, in the service of the Lord. Thus, on the platform, the transcendental qualities of all five rasas are present. Purport. Attachment for Krishna in Santarasa, rendering services to the Lord in in Dasirasa, rendering relaxed service in the fraternity and service in parental love with feeling of maintenance, all combined on the platform of conjugal love. When the devotee want to serve the Lord by offering him personal body, thus the qualities of other rasas combined to from the nectar of conjugal love. On this platform, all the different feelings of devotees are amalgamated. Amalgamated. Text 233. All the material qualities develop, evolve on one after another in the in elements, being, being from either by gradual evolution, first one quality develops, then two qualities develop, then three and four until five qualities are found in us. Text 234. Similarly, on the platform of conjugal love, all the feelings of the devotees are amalgamated, amal, amal, amalgamated. Thus, intensified taste in the certainly wonderful through text 235. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then concluded, I have simply given a general survey describing the melos of devotional service. You can consider how to adjust and expand this. Text 236. When one thinks of Krishna constantly, love for him manifested within the heart, even though even though one may be ignorant, one can reach the far shore of the ocean of transcendental love by Lord Krishna's mercy. Text 237. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced it, embraced Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī, the Lord then decided to go to the city of Benares, Banaras. Text 238 translation. The next morning, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arose and prepared to leave for Banaras, Srila Rupa Goswami submitted the following statement at the Lord's lotus feet. Text 239. If you give me permission, I shall go with your lordship. It is not possible for me to tolerate the wave of separation. Text 240. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, Your duty is to carry out my order. You have come near Vrindavan. Now you should go there. Text 241. Later, you can go from Vrindavan to Jagannath Puri through Bengal, Gaudadesha. There you will meet me again. Text 142. After embracing Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu go into a boat. Rupa Goswami fainted and fell down on the spot. Text 243. The Brahmana from the Deccan took Rupa Goswami to his home, and thereafter the two brothers departs for Vrindavan. Text 244. After working, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finally arrived at Banaras when he met Chandrasekhara, who was coming out of the city. Text 245. In a dream, Chandrasekhara had seen that the Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come to his home. Therefore, in the morning, Chandrasekhara went outside the city to receive the Lord. Text 246. While Chandrasekhara was waiting outside the city, he suddenly saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrive and he fell down at the Lord's feet. Being very happy, he took the Lord to his home. Text 247. Tapan Mishra also heard news of the Lord's in arrival in Banaras, and he went to Chandrasekhar's house to meet. He went to Chandrasekhar's house to meet him. After talking, he invited the Lord to take lunch at his place. Text 248. Tapan Mishra took Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his house and gave him lunch. Chandrasekhara invited Balabhadra Bhattacharya to take lunch at his home. Text 249. After offering lunch to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Tapan Mishra begged a favor from the Lord and requested him to award him mercy. Text 250. Tapan Mishra said, as long as your lordship stay in Banaras, please do not accept an invitation from anyone but me. Text 251. It was known to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he would remain there only 5 or 6, 7 days. He would not accept any invitation that involved Mayavadi sannyasis. Text 252. With the understanding, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu agreed to accept launch at place of Tapan Mishra. The Lord made his residence at the home of Chandrasekhara. Text 253. The Maharashtrian Brahman came and the Lord met him. Out of affection, the Lord bestowed his mercy upon him. Text 254. Hearing that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come, all the respectable members of the Brahman and Kshatriya communities came to see him. Text 255. Much mercy Much mercy was thus bestowed upon Sri Rūpa Gosvāmī, and I have briefly described all those topics. Text 256. Whoever hears this narration with faith and love certainly develop love of God at the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 257. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunatha, always desiring their mercy. I, Krishna Raja, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta, following in their footsteps. Purport. Thus, end the Bhakti Vedanta purport to Sri Chaitanya Madhya lila, ninth chapter describing the Lord's instruction to Srila Rupa Goswami and Prayaga in the science of devotional service. Chapter 20. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Sanātana Goswami in the science of the absolute truth. The following summary of this chapter is given by Bhakti Vinod Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya. When Srila Sanatana Goswami has imprisoned by Nawab Hussain, imprisoned by Nawab Hussain Shah, he received news from Rupa Goswami that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had gone to Mathura. Sanatana Goswami therefore satisfied the Supreme Superintendent of the jail by swift solic- solicitations and bravery. After giving the jailers 7,000 gold coins, Sanatana Goswami was released. He then crossed the Ganges and fled. One of his servants, Isana, followed him, carrying 8 gold coins. Sanatana Goswami and his servant then spent the night in a small hotel on the way to Banaras. The hotel owner knew that Sanatana Goswami and his servant had 8 gold coins, and he decided to kill them and take the money. Making plan in this way, the hotel owner received them as honorable guests. Sanatana Goswami, however, asked his servant how much money he had, and taking 7 of the gold coins, Sanatana offered them to the hotel owners. Thus, the owners helped them cross the hilly track and proceed to Banarasi. On the way, Sanatana Goswami met his brother-in-law Srikanta at Hajipura, and Srikant helped him after he had heard about all Sanatan's trouble. Thus, Sanatana Goswami finally arrived at Vanaras and stood before the door of Chandrasekhara. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called him in and ordered him to change his dress so that he would look like a gentleman. For his garment, he used an old cloth of Tapan Mishras. Later, he exchanged his valuable blankets for a trumpet hilt. At the time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased with him, and thus Sri Sanatana Goswami received knowledge of the absolute truth from the Lord himself. First, they discussed the constitution position of the living entities, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained to Sanatana Goswami how the living entity is one of Lord Krishna's energies. After this, the Lord explained the way of devotional service while discussing the absolute truth. Sri Krishna, the Lord, analyzed Paramatma, and Bhagavan, as well as explanation of the Lord called Swayam Rūpa Tathekatma, and and I was which are divided into various branches known as Vaibhava and Prabhava. Thus, the Lord described the many forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He also described the incarnation of a God within the material world. Incarnations such as the Purusha avatars, Manvantara avatars, Guna avatars, and Sa, Sa, Sakya Vaisavatas. The Lord also discussed the divisions of Krishna's different ages, such as Balya and Pagan. At the different pastimes of the different ages, he explained how Krishna attained his permanent form from his reached youth. It In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained and described everything to Sanatana Goswami. Text 1. Let me offer my respectful obeisance to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has ultimated wonderful opulence by his mercy. Even a person born as the lowest of men can spread the science of devotional service. Text 2. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Sri Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to our Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 3. While Sanatana Goswami was in, imprisoned in Bengal, a letter arrived from Srila Rūpa Goswami. Purport. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur informed us that the letter from Rūpa Goswami to Sanatana Goswami mentioned by the another an annotator at the Udhava Chandrika. Srila Rūpa Goswami wrote a note to Sanatana Goswami from Bakala. This note indicated that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was coming to Mahaprabhu and it stated Yadupeta ka gata Mathurapuri Raghupeta Raghupeta Gatotra Kasana Iti Vichita Kasava Manaha Tiravnasa Idam Jagat Iti Avadhara. Where where was the Mathurapuri of Yadupatika? Where has the uh, Natan Kosala of Raghupatika? By reflection, make the mind steady, thinking this universe is not eternal. Text 4. When Sanatana Goswami received this note from Rupa Goswami, he became very pleased. He immediately went to the jail superintendent who was a meat eater and spoke as follows. Text 5. Sanatana Goswami told the Muslim jail keeper, Dear sir, you are a saintly person and are very fortunate. You have a full knowledge of the revealed scriptures, such as the Quran and the similar books. Text 6. If one release a conditioned soul or imperious person according to the religious principle. He himself is also released from the material one day by the Supreme Personality of Godhead purpose. It appears from the statement that Sanatana Goswami, who was formerly a minister of the Nawab, who was formerly Minister of Nawab, was trying to cheat the Muslim superintendent. A jail superintendent had only an ordinary education or practically no education, and he was certainly not supposed to very advanced in the speaking knowledge, spiritual knowledge. But just to satisfy him, Sanatana Goswami praised him as a very learned scholar of the scriptures. The jail keeper could not deny that he was a learned scholar because when one is elevated to an exalted position, one thinks oneself fit for that position. Sanatana Goswami was correctly explaining the efforts of spiritual activity. and the jail keeper connected his statement with his release from jail. There are innumerable conditions souls rotting in the material world, impressed, imprisoned by Maya under the spell of sense gratification. The living entity is so entranced by the spell of Maya that the conditioned life, even a pig, feels satisfied. Even if it feels satisfied, there are two kinds of covering powers exhibited by Maya. One is called Prakshepamika and another called Avaratmika. When one is determined to get get out metal bandage, the Prakshepamika Sakti, the spell of impact diversion impels one to remain the country conditions like fully satisfied of the sense gratification due to the other power avaranatmika. A conditional soul feels satisfaction even if he is rotting in the body of a pig or a worm in the store. The release condition soul from material bondage is very difficult because the spell of Maya is so strong. Even when the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself descends to deliver conditioned soul, asking them to surrender unto Him, the conditioned soul do not agree to the Lord's personality. Therefore, Sri Sanatana Goswami said, somehow or other, if one help another get released from the bondage of Maya, he is certainly recognized immediately by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As Lord Krishna stated in Bhagavad Gita 18.69, Natsata smash manushaya paschim me priya kunte patamaha. भवेतन मे तस्मात् अन्य प्रियोत्तम movie. The greatest service, the greatest service on the render to the Lord is to try to infuse devotional service into the heart of the conditioned soul, so that the conditioned soul may be released from conditional life. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur has said that a Vaishnava is recognized by his preaching work. That is by convincing the conditioned soul about his eternal position, which is explained here as a Nija Dharma. It is the living entity's internal position to serve the Lord, therefore to help one get released from material bondage is the awakened one, the Dharma to understanding that he is the eternal servant of Krishna. Jivera Swarupa Hai Krishna Nitya Das. This will be further explained by the Lord himself to Sanatana Goswami. Text 7. Sanatana Goswami continued. Previously, I have done much for you. Now I am difficult. I am in difficulties. Please return my goodwill by releasing me. Text 8. Here are 5,000 gold coins. Please accept them by releasing me. You will receive the result of pious activities and gain material profit as well. Thus, will profit in two ways simultaneously. Text 9. In this way, Sanatana Goswami convinced the jail keeper, who replied, please hear me, my dear sir. I am willing to release you, but I am afraid of the government. Text 10 and 11. Sanatana Goswami replied, there is no danger. The Nawab has gone to the south. if he returns, tell him that Sanatan went to pass stool near the bank of the Ganges, and that as soon as he saw the Ganges, he jumped in. Translation. Tell him I looked for him a long time, but I could not find any trace of him. He jumped in, which is the sackless, and therefore he was drowned and washed away by the waves. Text 13. There is no reason for you to be afraid, for I shall, for I shall not remain in the country. I shall become a mendicant and go to the holy city of Makkah. Text 14. Sanatan Goswami could see that the mind of the meat eater was still not satisfied. He then stacked 7,000 gold coins before him. Text 15. When the meat eater saw the coins, he was attracted to them. He then agreed, and that night he caught Sanatan's Circles and let him cross the Ganges. Text 16. In this way, Sanatan Goswami was released. However, he was not able to walk along the path of the fortress, walking day and night. He finally arrived on hilly tract of land known as Patada. Text 17. After reaching Patada, he met a landholder and submissively requested his to go to get him across the hilly tract of land. Text 18. A man who was expert in palmistry was at the time saying that with the landlord. Knowing about Sanatana, he whispered the following in the landlord's ear. Text 19. The Parmesh said, this man Sanatan possesses 8 gold coins. Hearing this, the landlord was very pleased and spoke the following to Sanatan Goswami. Text 20. The landlord said, I shall get you across that hilly track at the night with my own men. Now just cook for yourself and take your lunch. Text 21. Saying this, the landlord offered Sanatan grain to cook. Sanatan Goswami then went to the riverside and took his bath. Text 22. Because Sanatan Goswami had been fasting for 2 days, he cooked the food and ate it. However, having primarily been a minister of the Nawab, he began to contemplate the situation. Text 23. As a former minister for the Nawab, Sanatan would certainly understand diplomacy. He therefore thought, why is the landlord offering me such respect? Thinking in this way, the questioned his servant, whose name was Isana. Text 24. Sanatana asked his servant, Isana, I think have some valuable thing with me. Hmm, Valuable thing with you. For Isana replied, yes, I have 7 gold coins. Text 25. Translation. Hearing this, Sanatan Goswami chastised his servant, saying, why have you brought this death name with you? Text 25, 26. Upon.
Okay. And when just when I see 10-15 again stuff, I'll help you. Can you take it on the short video? Yes.
All these stories of the Madhya.
Hare Krishna. Text 26 translation. Thereupon Sanātana Gosvāmī took the 7 gold coins in his hands and went to the landlord. Holding the gold coins before him, he spoke as follows. I have these 7 gold coins with me. Please accept them, and from a religious point of view, please get me across that hilly tract of land. I'm prisoner of the government and I cannot go along the way of the ramparts. It will be very pious of you to take this money and kindly get me across this hilly tract of land. Smiling, the landlord said, before you ever offer them, I already knew that there are 8 gold coins in your servant possession. On this very night, I would have killed you and taken your coins. It is very good that you have voluntarily offered them to me. I'm now relieved from such a simple activity. I'm very satisfied with your behavior. I shall not accept these gold coins, but I shall get you across the hilly tract of land simply to perform a pious activity. Sanātana Gosvāmī replied, if you don't accept these coins, someone else will kill me for them. It's better that you save me from the danger by accepting the coins. After this settlement was made, the landlord gave Sanātana Gosvāmī 4 watchmen to accompany him. They went through the forest paths for the whole night, and those brought him over the hilly tract of land. After crossing the hills, Sanātana Gosvāmī told his servant, Ishana, I think you still have some balance left from the gold coins. Ishana replied, I still have 1 gold coin in my possession. Sanātana Gosvāmī then said, take the coin and return to your home. After departing from Ishana, Sanātana Gosvāmī began traveling along with water flask in his hand, simply covered with a torn quill. He thus lost all his anxiety. Walking, Sanātana Gosvāmī finally arrived at a place called Najapura. That evening, he sat down within a garden. In Hajipura, there was a gentleman named Śrīla, who happened to be the husband of Sanātana Gosvāmī's sister. He was engaged there in government service. Śrīla had 300,000 gold coins with him, which had been given to him by the empire for the purchase of horses. Those Śrīla was buying horses and dispatching them to the emperor. Once Śrīla was seated in an elevated place, he could see Sanātana Gosvāmī. That night he took a servant and went to see Sanātana Gosvāmī. When they met, they had many conversations. Sanātana Gosvāmī told him in details about his arrest and release. Śrīla then told Sanātana Gosvāmī, stay here for at least 2 days and dress up like a gentleman. Abandon these dirty garments. Sanātana Gosvāmī replied, I shouldn't stay here even for a moment. Please help me cross the Ganges. I shall leave immediately. With the great care, Śrīla gave him a woolen blanket and helped him cross the Ganges. Thus Sanātana Gosvāmī departed again. After a few days, Sanātana Gosvāmī arrived at Varanasi. He was very pleased to hear about Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu arrived there. Sanātana Gosvāmī then went to the house of Chandrasekhara and sat down by the door. Understanding what was happening, Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu spoke to Chandrasekhara. Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu said, there is a devotee at your door, please call him in. Going outside, Chandrasekhara could not see a Vaishnava at his door. When Chandrasekhara informed the Lord that the Vaishnava was at the door, the Lord asked him, is there anyone at all at your door? Chandrasekhara replied, there is a Muslim mendicant. Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu immediately said, please bring him in. Chandrasekhara then spoke to Sanātana Gosvāmī, who was still sitting by the door. O Muslim mendicant, please come in, the Lord is calling you. Sanātana Gosvāmī was very pleased to hear this order, and he entered the Chandrasekhara's house. As soon as Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu saw Sanātana Gosvāmī in the courtyard, he immediately went up to him with great haste. After embarrassing him, the Lord was overwhelmed with ecstatic love. As soon as Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu touched Sanātana Gosvāmī, Sanātana was also overwhelmed with ecstatic love. In a faltering voice, he said, oh my Lord, don't touch me. Shoulder to shoulder, Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu and Sanātana Gosvāmī began to cry unlimitedly. Chandrasekhara was very much astonished to see this. Catching his hand, Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu took Sanātana Gosvāmī inside and made him sit on an elevated place next to him. When Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu began cleansing Sanātana Gosvāmī's body with his own transcendental hands, Sanātana Gosvāmī said, oh my Lord, please don't touch me. The Lord replied, I'm touching you just to purify myself, because by the force of your devotional service you can purify the whole universe. Saints of your caliber are themselves places of pilgrimage because of their purity. They are constant compassion of the Lord, and therefore they can purify even the places of pilgrimage. Purport, should we say? This verse was spoken by Maharaji Yudhishthira to Vidura in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.10. Vidura was returning home after visiting sacred places of pilgrimage, and Maharaji Yudhishthira was receiving his saintly uncle. In essence, Maharaja Yudhishthira was saying, my dear Lord Vidura, you yourself are a holy place because you are an advanced devotee. Please, people like you always carry Lord Vishnu in their hearts. You can revitalize all holy places after they have been polluted by the pilgrimage of sinners. A sinful person goes to a holy place of pilgrimage to be purified. In a holy place there are many saintly people, and and temples of Lord Vishnu. However, the holy places becomes infected with the sins of many visitors. When an advanced devotee goes to a holy place, he counteracts all the sins of the pilgrims. Therefore, Maharaja Yudhishthira addressed Vidura in this way. Since an advanced devotee carries Lord Vishnu within his heart, he is a moving temple and a moving Vishnu. An advanced devotee doesn't need to go to holy places, for wherever he stays is a holy place. In this consciousness, Narottama Dasa Thakura states Titva Yatra Parismara Kevala Manera Varama. Visiting holy places is simply another type of bewilderment. Since an advanced devotee doesn't need to go to a holy place, why does he go? The answer is that he goes simply to purify the place. Translation. Text 58 translation. Lord Krishna said, even though a person is very learned scholar of the Sankirtan Vedic literature, he is not accepted as my devotee unless he is pure in devotional service. However, even though a person is born in a family of dog eaters, he is very dear to me if he is pure devotee who has no motive to enjoy fruitive activity or mental speculation. Indeed, all respect should be given to him, and whatever he offers should be accepted. Such devotees are as worshipable as I am. Report. This verse is included in the Hari Bhakti Vilasha 10.127, compiled by Sanātana Gosvāmī. Text 29 translation. One may be born in a Brahmana family and have all 12 Brahmanical qualities, but if he is not devoted to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, who has a navel shaped like a lotus, he is not as good as Chandala, who has dedicated his mind, words, activities, wealth, and life to the service of the Lord. Simply to take birth in Brahman families or to have Brahmanical qualities is not sufficient. One must become a pure devotee of the Lord. If a Spacha or Chandala is devotee, he delivers not only himself but the whole family, whereas the Brahmana who is not a devotee but simply has Brahmanical qualities cannot even purify himself, or what to speak of his family. Purport. This verse is spoken by Prahlada Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.9.10. A Brahmana is supposed to be qualified with 12 qualities as stated in the Mahāprabhu. Dharmascha, Satyamcha, Damastabascha, Amatsarayam, Kristitiksha, Nashya, Yajnas-cha, Jana-cha, Dhritih, Shutam-cha, Vratani vai Dvadasam Brahmanasya. Brahmana must be perfectly religious, he must be truthful, and he must be able to control his senses. He must exclude severe austerities, and he must be detached, humble, and tolerant. He must not envy anyone, and he must be expert in performing sacrificial and giving whatever he has in charity. He must be fixed in devotional service and expert in the knowledge of the Vedas. There are 12 qualifications for the Brahmana. The Bhagavad Gita 18:42 describes the Brahmanical qualities in this way. Samodamastapa socham kshantir arjavam evacham jananam vijnanam ishtyam brahma karma svadhamajam. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work. In the Maktabhalatika, it is said, Samodamastapah Saucham Kshanti Arjava Viraktya Janana Vijana Santosha Sityastikya Dvisarna. Mental equilibrium, sense control, austerity, cleanliness, loneliness, simplicity, detachment, theoretical and practical knowledge, satisfaction, truthfulness, and firm faith in the Vedas are the 12 qualities of Brahmana. Text 16. Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu continued, by seeing you, by touching you, and by glorifying your transcendental qualities, one can perfect the purpose of all sense activities. This is the verdict of the revealed scriptures. Purport. This is confirmed in the following verse from the Hari Bhakti Sanhrodaya 13:2. My dear Vaishnava, seeing a person like you is a perfection of one's eyesight. Touching your lotus feet is a perfection of the sense of touch, and glorifying your good qualities is a tongue's real activity. For in the material world, it's very difficult to find pure devotees of the Lord. Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu continued, my dear Sanātana, please hear from me. Krishna is very merciful and he is a deliverer of all fallen souls. My dear Sanātana, Krishna has saved you from Mahāprabhu, life's deepest hell. He is an ocean of mercy and his activities are very grave. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 18:61, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Vidyasya Arjuna Tishati. Staying within everyone's heart, Lord Krishna works very gravely. No one can understand now he's working, but as soon as Lord understands this sincere activity of a person in devotional service, he helps him in such a way that the devotees cannot understand how things are happening. If the devotee is determined to serve the Lord is always prepared to help him. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yana nam abhyantite. Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu is telling Sanātana Gosvāmī how merciful the Lord is. Sanātana Gosvāmī was a minister of the servant of Nawab Hasan Shah. He was always mixing with materially inclined people, particularly with Muslims, meat eaters. Also, he was in intimate touch with them. By Krishna's mercy, he came to find such association district. Therefore, he left them. As stated by Srinivasa Acharya, Tayaktva Tarnam Eshashara Mandalam Pati Shrinim Sada Tuchavat. Krishna enlightened Sanātana Gosvāmī in such a way that he was able to give up his exalted post as a minister. Thinking his material position insignificant, Sanātana Gosvāmī was prepared to become a mendicant. Appreciating the activities of Sanātana Gosvāmī, Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu praised his action and thanked Krishna for his mercy upon him. Sanātana replied, I don't know who Krishna is. As far as I am concerned, I have been released from prison only by your mercy. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu then asked Sanātana Gosvāmī, how were you released from the prison? Sanātana then described the story from beginning to the end. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu said, I met you, two brothers, Rūpa and Anupama at Prayag. They have now gone to Vrindavana. By the order of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Sanātana Gosvāmī met both Tapa Mishra and Chandrasekhara. Tapana Mishra then extended an invitation of Sanātana, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Sanātana to go get a shave. After this, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu called Chandrasekhara and asked him to take Sanātana Gosvāmī with him. He also asked him to take away Sanātana's present dress. Chandrasekhara then made Sanātana Gosvāmī look like a gentleman. He took him to bath in the Ganges, and afterwards he brought him a new set of clothes. Purport. The words Pandra Karana are significant in this verse. Due to his long hair, mustache, and beard, Sanātana Gosvāmī looked like a Daravesh or hippie. Since Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu didn't like Sanātana Gosvāmī hippie's features, he immediately asked Chandrasekhara to get him shaved clean. If anyone with long hair or beard wants to join this Krishna consciousness movement and live with us, he must similarly shave himself clean. The followers of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu consider long hair objectionable. Sanātana Gosvāmī was saved from the hellish condition Mahāprabhu by the grace of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahāprabhu is the hell wherein animal killers are placed. In this regards, refer to Srimad Bhagavatam 5:26-12. Chandrasekhara offered a new set of garments to Sanātana Gosvāmī, but Sanātana didn't accept them. Then Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu heard news of this. He became unlimitedly happy. After bathing at noon, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu went to the house of Tapana Mishra for lunch. He took Sanātana Gosvāmī with him. After washing his feet, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu sat down for lunch. He asked Tapana Mishra to supply Sanātana Gosvāmī with lunch also. Tapana Mishra then said Sanātana has some duty to perform, therefore he cannot accept lunch now. At the conclusion of the meal, I shall supply Sanātana with some remnants. After eating, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu took rest for a while. Tapana Mishra then gave Sanātana Gosvāmī the remnants of food left of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Apana Mishra offered Sanatana Gosvāmī new clothes, he didn't accept it. Instead, he spoke as follows. If you want to give me some clothes according to your desire, please give me an old clothes you have used. When Tapana Mishra gave Sanatana Gosvāmī new dhoti, Sanatana immediately tore it into pieces to make 2 sets of outer clothes and underwear. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the Maharashtrian Brahmana to Sanatana, Brahmana immediately invited Sanatana Gosvāmī for full meals. The Brahmana said, "My dear Sanatana, as long as you remain at Kashi, please accept lunch at my house." Sanatana replied, "Shall I practice the process of Madhukari? Why should I accept full meals in the house of Brahmana?" No, I didn't start it. Okay.
Chapter 20, text 21. Sanatana replied, I should practice the process of Madhukari. Why should I accept full meals in the house of a Brahmana? Purport. The word Madhukari comes from the word Madhukara, which refers to bees collecting honey from flower to flower. A Madhukari is a saintly person or a mendicant who does not accept a full meal at one house but begs from door to door, taking a little food from each householder's place. In this way, he does not overeat or give householders unnecessary trouble. A person in the renounced order may beg but not cook. His begging should not be a burden for the householders. The Madhukari process is strictly to be followed by a Babaji, that is, one who has attended the Paramahansa stage. This practice is still current in Vrindavan, and there are many places where alms are offered. Unfortunately, there are many beggars who have come to live in the acts of alms but not follow the principles of Sanātana Gosvāmī. People try to imitate him and idle from practicing Madhukari. It is almost impossible to strictly follow Sanatana Gosvāmī or Rūpa Gosvāmī. It is better to accept the offer to Krishna in the temple than to try to imitate Sanatana Gosvāmī and Rūpa Gosvāmī. He who is regulated in the habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. The ideal sannyasi strictly follows the ways practiced by the Gosvamis. Text 82. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt unlimited happiness to observe Sanatana Gosvami's strict following of the principles of sannyasa. However, he repeatedly glanced at the woolen blanket Sanatana Gosvami was wearing. Text 83. Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was repeatedly glancing at this valuable woolen blanket, Sanatana Gosvami could understand that the Lord did not approve of it. He then began to consider a way to give it up. Text 84. Thinking in this way, Sanatana went to the bank of the Ganges to bath. While there, he saw that a mendicant from Bengal had washed his quilt and spread it out to dry. Text 85. Sanatana Goswami then told the Bengali mendicant, "My dear brother, please do me a favor. Trade me your quilt for this woolen blanket." Text 86. The mendicant replied, "Sir, you are a respectable gentleman. Why are you joking with me? Why would you trade your valuable blanket for my torn quilt?" Text 87. Sanatana said, "I am not joking. I am speaking the truth. Kindly take this blanket in exchange for your torn quilt." Text 88. Saying this, Sanatana Goswami exchanged the blanket for the quilt. He then returned to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with the quilt on his shoulder. Text 89. When Sanatana Goswami returned, the Lord asked, "Where is your woolen blanket?" Sanatana Goswami then narrated the whole story to the Lord. Text 90 to 91. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then said, "I have already deliberately considered this matter. Since Lord Krishna is very merciful, he has nullified your attachment for material things. Why should Krishna allow you to maintain a last bit of material attachment? After vanquishing a disease, a good physician does not allow any of the disease to remain." Text 92. It is contradictory to practice Madhukari and at the same time very valuable blanket. One loses his spiritual strength by doing this, and one will also become an object of jokes. Text 93. Sanatana Goswami replied, "The Supreme Personality of Godhead has saved me from the sinful life of material existence. By his desire, my last piece of material attraction is now gone." Text 94. Being pleased with Sanatana Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his causeless mercy upon him. By the Lord's mercy, Sanatana Goswami received the spiritual strength to inquire from him. Text 95 to 96. Formerly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had asked Ramananda Raya spiritual questions, and by the Lord's causeless mercy, Ramananda Raya could properly reply. Now, by the Lord's mercy, Sanatana Goswami questioned the Lord, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally supplied the truth. Text 97. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, personally told Sanatana Goswami about Lord Krishna's real identity. He also told him about the Lord's conjugal love, his personal opulence, and the mellows of devotional service. All these truths were explained to Sanatana Goswami by the Lord himself out of his causeless mercy. Text 98. Putting a straw in his mouth and bowing down, Sanatana Goswami clasped the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and humbly spoke as follows. Text 99. Sanatana Goswami said, "I was born in a low family and my associates are all low class men. I myself am fallen and am the lowest of men. Indeed, I have passed my whole life fallen in the well of sinful materialism." Purport. Actually, Sri Sanatana Goswami belonged to a Brahmana family because he belonged to the Saraswata division of the Brahmanas and was well cultured and well educated. Somehow or other, he accepted a ministership in the Muslim government. Therefore, he had to associate with meat eaters, drunkards, and gross materialists. Sanatana Goswami considered himself fallen, for in the association of such men, he also fell victim to material enjoyment. Having passed his life in that way, he considered that he had wasted his valuable time. This statement about how one can become fallen in this material world is made by the greatest authority in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Actually, the whole world is presently fallen into material existence. Everyone is a meat eater, drunkard, woman hunter, gambler, and whatnot. People are enjoying material life by committing the four basic sins. Although they are fallen, if they simply submit themselves at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they will be saved from sinful reactions. Text 100. I do not know what is beneficial for me or what is detrimental. Nonetheless, in ordinary dealings, people consider me a lawn scholar, and I am also thinking of myself as such. Text 101. Out of your causeless mercy, you have delivered me from the materialistic path. Now, by the same causeless mercy, please tell me what my duty is. Text 102. Who am I? Why do the threefold miseries always give me trouble? If I do not know this, how can I be benefited? Purport. The threefold material miseries are miseries arising from the body and the mind, miseries arising from dealings with other living entities, and miseries arising from natural disturbances. Sometimes we suffer bodily when we are attacked by a fever, and sometimes we suffer mentally when a close relative dies. Other living entities also cause us misery. There are living entities born on of the human embryo, of eggs, perspiration, and vegetation. Miserable conditions brought about by natural catastrophes are controlled by the higher demigods. There may be severe cold or thunderbolts, or a person may be haunted by ghosts. These threefold miseries are always before us and they entrap us in a dangerous situation. Padam, padam, and vipadam. There is danger in every step of life. Text 103. Actually, I do not know how to inquire about the goal of life and the process for obtaining it. Being merciful upon me, please explain all these truths. Text 104. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Lord Krishna has bestowed his full mercy upon you so that all these things are known to you. For you, the threefold miseries certainly do not exist. Text 105. Since you possess Lord Krishna's potency, you certainly know these things. However, it is the nature of a sadhu to inquire. Although he knows these things, the sadhu inquires for the sake of strictness. Text 106. Those who are eager to awaken their spiritual consciousness and who thus have unflinching, undeviated intelligence certainly attain the desired goal of life very soon. This verse quoted from the Naradiya Purana is found in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, text 107. You are fit to propagate the culture of devotional service. Therefore, gradually hear all the truths about it from me. I shall tell you about them. Text 108 to 109. It is a living entity's constitutional position to be an eternal servant of Krishna because he is the marginal energy of Krishna and a manifestation simultaneously one with and different from the Lord, like a molecular particle of sunshine or fire. Krishna has three varieties of energy. Perfect. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains these verses as follows. Sri Sanātana Gosvāmī asked Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Who am I? In answer, the Lord replied, You are a pure living entity. You are neither the gross material body nor the subtle body composed of mind and intelligence. Actually, you are a spirit soul, eternally part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, Krishna. Therefore, you are his eternal servant. You belong to Krishna's marginal potency. There are two worlds, the spiritual world and the material world, and you are situated between the material and spiritual potencies. You have a relationship with both the material and the spiritual world, therefore, you are called the marginal potency. You are related with Krishna as one and simultaneously different. Because you are spirit soul, you are one in quality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But because you are a very minute particle of spirit soul, you are different from the Supreme Soul. Therefore, your position is simultaneously one with and different from the Supreme Soul. The examples given are those of the sun itself and the small particles of sunshine and of a blazing fire and the small particles of fire. Another explanation of these verses can be found in Adi Lila, chapter 2, verse 96. Text 110. Just as the illumination of a fire which is situated in one place is spread all over, the energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Parabrahman, are spread all over this universe. This is a quotation from the Vishnu Purana. Text 111. Lord Krishna naturally has three energetic transformations, and these are known as the spiritual potency, the living entity potency, and the illusory potency. Text 112. Originally, Krishna's energy is spiritual, and the energy known as the living entity is also spiritual. However, there is another energy called illusion, which consists of fruitive activity, that is the Lord's third potency, purport. This is a quotation from the Vishnu Purana. For a further explanation of this verse, refer to Adilila chapter 7, verse 119. Text 113. All the creative energies which are inconceivable to a common man exist in the Supreme Absolute Truth. These inconceivable energies act in the process of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. O chief of the ascetics, just as there are two energies possessed by fire, namely heat and light. These inconceivable creative energies are the natural characteristics of the Absolute Truth. Purport. This is also a quotation from the Vishnu Purana, text 114. O king, the Kshetrajna Shakti is a living entity. Although he has a facility to live in either the material or the spiritual world, he suffers the threefold miseries of material existence because he is influenced by the avidya potency, which covers his constitutional position. This and the following words are also quoted from the Vishnu Purana. For an explanation, see Madhya Lila chapter 6, verse 155 to 156. Text 115. This living entity covered by the influence of nescience exists in different forms in the material condition. O king, he is thus proportionately freed from the influence of the material energy to greater or lesser degrees. Text 116. Besides these inferior energies, O mighty Amrajna, there is another superior energy of mind, which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. Purport. This is a verse from the Bhagavad Gita. For an explanation, see Adilila chapter 7, verse 118. Text 117. Forgetting Krishna, the living entity has been attracted by the external future from time immemorial. Therefore, the illusory energy Maya gives him all kinds of misery in his material existence. Purport. When the living entity forgets his constitutional position as an eternal servant of Krishna, he is immediately entrapped by the illusory external energy. The living entity is originally part and parcel of Krishna and is therefore the superior energy of Krishna. He is endowed with inconceivable minute energy that works inconceivably within the body. However, the living entity, forgetting his position, is situated in material energy. The living entity is called the marginal energy because by nature he is spiritual, but by forgetfulness he is situated in the material energy. Thus, he has the power to live either in the material energy or in the spiritual energy, and for this reason, he is called marginal energy. Being in the marginal position, he is sometimes attracted by the external illusory energy, and this is the beginning of his material life. When he enters the material energy, he is subjected to the threefold time measurement past, present, and future. Past, present, and future belong only to the material world. They do not exist in the spiritual world. The living entity is eternal and he existed before the creation of this material world. Unfortunately, he has forgotten his relationship with Krishna. The living entity's forgetfulness is described herein as anadi, which indicates that it has existed since time immemorial. One should understand that due to his desire to enjoy himself in competition with Krishna, the living entity comes into material existence. Text 118. In the material condition, the living entity is sometimes raised to higher planetary systems and material prosperity and sometimes drowned in a hellish situation. His state is exactly like that of a criminal whom a king punishes by submerging him in water and then raising him again from the water. Purport. In the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad, it is stated, Asangohi Ayam Purusha. The living entity is always free from the contamination of the material world. One who is not materially infected and who does not forget Krishna as his master is called Nityamukta. In other words, one who is eternally liberated from material contamination is called Nityamukta. From time immemorial, the Nityamukta living entity has always been a devotee of Krishna, and his only attempt has been to serve Krishna. Thus, he never forgets his eternal servitorship to Krishna. Any living entity who forgets his eternal relationship with Krishna is under the sway of the material condition. Bereft of the Lord's transcendental loving service, he is subjected to the reactions of fruitive activity. When he is elevated to the higher planetary systems due to worldly pious activities, he considers himself well situated, but when he is subjected to punishment, he thinks himself improperly situated. Thus, material nature awards and punishes the living entity. When the living entity is materially opulent, material nature is rewarding him. When he is materially embarrassed, material nature is punishing him. Text 119. When the living entity is attracted by the material energy, which is separate from Krishna, he is overpowered by fear. Because he is separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the material energy. His conception of life is reversed. In other words, instead of being the eternal servant of Krishna, he becomes Krishna's competitor. This is called Smrita. To nullify this mistake, one who is actually learned and advanced worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a spiritual master, worshipful deity and source of life. He thus worships the Lord by the process of unalloyed devotional service. Perfect. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam. It is an instruction given by Kavirasi, one of the 9 saintly personalities called the 9 Yogendras. When Vasudeva, Krishna's father, asked Devarshi Narada in Dwaraka about devotional service, it was mentioned that previously King Nimi, who was the king of Videha, was instructed by the 9 Yogendras. When Sri Narada Muni discoursed on Bhagavad Dharma, devotional service, he indicated how a conditional soul can be liberated by engaging in the loving transcendental service of the Lord. The Lord is a super soul, spiritual master, and worshipable deity of all conditioned souls. Not only is Krishna the supreme wonderful deity for all living entities, but he is also the Guru or Chaitya Guru, super soul, who always gives the living entity good counsel. Unfortunately, the living entity neglects the supreme person's instructions. He thus identifies with the material energy and is consequently overpowered by a kind of fear resulting from accepting himself as a material body and considering paraphernalia related to the material body to be his property. All types of future results actually come from the spirit soul. But because he has forgotten his real duty, he is embarrassed by many material consequences, such as fear and attachment. The only remedy is to revert to the service of the Lord and thus be saved from material nature's unwanted harassment. Text 120. If the conditioned soul becomes Krishna conscious by the mercy of saintly persons who voluntarily preach spiritual injections and help him to become Krishna conscious, the conditioned soul is liberated from the clutches of Maya, who gives him up. Purport. A conditioned soul is one who has forgotten Krishna as his eternal master. Thinking that he is enjoying the material world, the conditioned soul suffers the threefold miseries of material existence. Saintly persons, Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, preach Krishna consciousness on the basis of the Vedic literature. It is only by their mercy that the conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness. When awakened, he is no longer eager to enjoy the materialistic way of life. Instead, he devotes himself to the loving transcendental service of the Lord. When one engages in the Lord's devotional service, he becomes detached from material enjoyment. This is the test by which one can tell whether he is advancing in devotional service. One must be detached from material enjoyment. Such detachment means that Maya has actually given the conditioned soul liberation from illusory enjoyment. When one is advanced in Krishna consciousness, he does not consider himself as good as Krishna. Whenever he thinks that he is the enjoyer of material advantages, he is imprisoned in the bodily conception. However, when he is freed from the bodily conception, he can engage in devotional service, which is his actual possession of freedom from the clutches of Maya. This is all explained in the following verse from the Bhagavad Gita 7.14. Text 121. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Text 122. The conditioned soul cannot revive his Krishna consciousness by his own effort. But out of causeless mercy, Lord Krishna compiled the Vedic literature and it supplements the Puranas. Purport. A conditioned soul is bewildered by the Lord's illusory energy, Maya. Maya's business is to keep the conditioned soul forgetful of his real relationship with Krishna. Thus, the living entity forgets his real identity as spirit soul, Brahman, and instead of realizing his factual position, thinks himself the product of the material energy. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, याया सम्मोहितो जीव आत्मानं त्रिगुणात्मकं परोपि मनुते नर्तं तत्कृतं Chabipadyate. Due to this external energy, the living entity, although transcendental to the three modes of material nature, thinks of himself as a material product and thus undergoes the reactions of material miseries. This is a description of Maya's action upon the conditioned soul. Thinking himself a product of the material energy, the conditioned soul engages in the service of the material energy in so many ways. He becomes the servant of lust, anger, greed, and envy. In this way, one totally becomes a servant of the illusory energy. Later, the bewildered soul becomes a servant of mental speculation. But in any case, he is simply covered by the illusory energy. Out of his causeless mercy and compassion, Krishna has compiled various Vedic literatures in his incarnation as Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is a Sakyavesha avatar of Lord Krishna. He has very kindly presented these literatures to awaken the conditioned soul to his senses. Unfortunately, at the present moment, the conditioned souls are guided by demons who do not care to read the Vedic literatures. Although there is an immense treasure house of knowledge, people are engaged in reading useless literature that will give them no information on how to get out of the clutches of Maya. The purpose of the Vedic literatures is explained in the following verses. Text 123. The forgetful conditioned soul is educated by Krishna through the Vedic literatures, the realized spiritual master and the super soul. Through these, he can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is, and he can understand that Lord Krishna is his eternal master and deliverer from the clutches of Maya. In this way, one can acquire real knowledge of his conditioned life and can come to understand how to obtain liberation. Purport. Being forgetful of his real position, the conditioned soul may take help from Shastra Guru and the super soul within his heart. Krishna is situated within everyone's heart as a super soul, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hridese tistati brahmayan sarvabhutani entrarudani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a mission made of the material energy. As the Satyavesha avatar of Vyasadeva, Krishna teaches the conditioned soul through the Vedic literatures. Krishna externally appears as a spiritual master and trains the conditioned soul to come to Krishna consciousness. When his original Krishna consciousness is revived, the conditioned soul is delivered from the material clutches. Thus, a conditioned soul is always helped by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in three ways: by the scriptures, the spiritual master, and the super soul within the heart. The Lord is the deliverer of the conditioned soul and is accepted as the Supreme Lord of all living entities. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam praja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayisyami ma sucha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. The same instruction is found throughout all Vedic literatures. Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru act as the representatives of Krishna, and the Krishna consciousness movement is also taking place all over the universe. Whoever takes advantage of this opportunity becomes liberated. Text 124. The Vedic literatures give information about the living entity's eternal relationship with Krishna, which is called Sambandha. The living entity's understanding of this relationship and his acting accordingly is called Abhideya. Returning home back to Godhead is his ultimate goal of life and is called Prayojana. Text 125. Devotional service or sense activity for the satisfaction of the Lord is called Abhideya because it can develop one's original love of Godhead, which is the goal of life. This goal is the living entity's topmost interest and greatest will. Thus, one attains the platform of transcendental loving service unto the Lord. Purport. The conditioned soul is bewildered by the external material energy, which fully engages him in sense gratification in various ways. Due to engagement in material activities, one's original Krishna consciousness is covered. However, as a supreme father of all living entities, Krishna wants his sons to return home back to Godhead. Therefore, he personally comes to deliver Vedic literatures like the Bhagavad Gita. He engages his confidential servants who serve as spiritual masters and enlighten the conditioned living entities. Being present in everyone's heart, the Lord gives the living entities the conscience whereby they can accept the Vedas and the spiritual master. In this way, the living entity can understand his constitutional position and his relationship with the Supreme Lord, as personally enunciated by the Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita. Vedaisya sarvair ahameva vedya. Through the study of Vedanta, one may become fully aware of his relationship with the Supreme Lord and act accordingly. In this way, one may ultimately attain the platform of loving service to the Lord. It is in the living entity's best interest to understand the Supreme Lord. Unfortunately, the living entities have forgotten that this is in their best interest, and therefore Srimad Bhagavatam says, Nate vidu swartha katim hi Vishnu. Everyone wants to achieve life's ultimate goal, but due to being absorbed in the material energy, we waste our time with sense gratification. Through the study of Vedic literatures, of which the essence is the Bhagavad Gita, one comes to Krishna consciousness. Thus, one engages in devotional service called Abhidheya. When the living entity actually develops love of God, he has reached the ultimate goal, Prayojana. In other words, one who becomes fully Krishna conscious has attained the perfection of life. Text 126. When one attains the transcendental bliss of an intimate relationship with Krishna, he renders service to him and tastes the mellows of Krishna consciousness. Text 127. The following parable may be given. Once a learned astrologer came to the house of a poor man and seeing his distressed condition, questioned him. Purport. Sometimes we go to an astrologer or palmist when we are in a distressed condition or when we want to know the future. The living entity is conditioned in conditioned life is always distressed by the threefold miseries of material existence. Under the circumstances, he is inquisitive about his position. For instance, Sanātana Gosvāmī approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu, to ask him why he was in a distressed condition. This is the position of all conditioned souls. We are always in a distressed condition, and an intelligent man naturally becomes inquisitive. This position is called Brahma Jignasa. Ahado Brahma Jignasa. Brahma here refers to Vedic literature. One should consult the Vedic literature to know why the conditioned soul is always in a distressed condition. The Vedic literatures are meant to free the conditioned soul from the miserable conditions of material existence. In this chapter, the story of the astrologer Sarvajna and the poor man is very instructive. Text 128. The astrologer asked, Why are you unhappy? Your father was very healthy, but he did not disclose his wealth to you because he died elsewhere. Text 129. Just as the words of the astrologer Sarvajna gave news of the poor man's treasure, the Vedic literatures advise one about Krishna consciousness when one is inquisitive to know why he is in a distressed material condition. Text 130. By the words of the astrologer, the poor man's connection with the treasure was established. Similarly, the Vedic literature advises us that our real connection is with Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, Oh Arjuna, as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. Thus, Krishna knows the cause of the distressed condition of the conditioned soul. He therefore descends from his original position to instruct the conditioned soul and inform him about his forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. Krishna exhibits himself in his relationships in Vrindavana and at the battle of Kurukshetra, so that people will be attracted to him and will return home back to Godhead. Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita that he is the proprietor of all universes, the enjoyer of everything, that be and the friend of everyone. Bhoktaram Agnya Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. If we revive our original intimate relationship with Krishna, our distressed condition in the material world will be mitigated. Everyone is trying to adjust to the distressed conditions of material existence, but the basic problems cannot be solved unless one is in an intimate relationship with Krishna. Text 131. Although being assured of his father's treasure, the poor man cannot acquire this treasure by such knowledge alone. Therefore, the astrologer had to inform him of the means whereby he could actually find the treasure. Text 132. The astrologer said that treasure is in this place, but if you dig toward the southern side, the vats and thrones will rise, and you will not get your treasure. Text 133. If you dig on the western side, there is a ghost who will create such a disturbance that your hands will not even touch the treasure. Text 134. If you dig on the northern side, there is a big black snake that will devour you if you attempt to dig up the treasure. Text 135. However, if you dig up a small quantity of dirt on the eastern side, your hands will immediately touch the pot of treasure. Purport. The Vedic literatures, including the Puranas, state that according to the position of the conditioned soul, there are different processes. Karmakanda, Jnanakanda, the yogic process, and the Bhakti Yoga process. Karmakanda is compared to wasps and drones that will simply bite if one takes shelter of them. Jnanakanda, the speculative process, is simply like a ghost who creates mental disturbances. Yoga, the mystic process, is compared to a black snake that devours people by the impersonal cultivation of Caitanya. However, if one takes to Bhakti Yoga, he becomes quickly successful. In other words, through Bhakti Yoga, one's hands touch the hidden treasure without difficulty. The goal of all the revealed scriptures and the Vedic injections is Krishna, as he himself says in the Bhagavad Gita. Vedaisya sarvair ahameva vedya. Since the Vedas enjoin one to search out Krishna and take shelter at his lotus feet. And since no Vedic process but devotional service will enable one to do this, one has to take to devotional service. According to the Bhagavad Gita, only the bhakti process is said to be definitive. Bhaktyamam abhijanati. This is the conclusive statement of the Vedas, and one has to accept this process. If one is serious in searching for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in this connection, Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives the following statement. The eastern side represents devotional service to Lord Krishna. The southern side represents the process of fruitive activity, karma kanda, which ends in material gain. The western side represents Jnanakanda, the process of mental speculation, or sometimes Siddhikanda, the mystic yoga system. The northern side represents mystic yoga or sometimes a speculative method. It is only the eastern side devotional service that enables one to attain life's real goal. On the southern side, there are fruitive activities by which one is subject to the punishment of emergency. When one follows the system of fruitive activity, his material desires remain prominent. Consequently, the results of this process are compared to wasps and drones. The living entity is bitten by the wasps and drones of fruitive activity and thus suffers in material existence birth after birth. One cannot become free from material desires by following this process. The propensity for material enjoyment never ends. Therefore, the cycle of birth and death continues, and the spirit soul suffers perpetually. The mystic yoga process is compared to a black snake that devours the living entity and injects him with poison. The ultimate goal of the yoga system is to become one with the Absolute. This means finishing one's personal existence. But the spiritual part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead has an eternal individual existence. The Bhagavad Gita confirms that the individual soul existed in the past, is existing in the present, and will continue to exist as an individual in the future. Artificially trying to become one with the Absolute is suicidal. One cannot annihilate his natural condition. A Yaksha, a protector of riches, will not allow anyone to take away riches for enjoyment. Such a demon will simply create disturbances. In other words, a devotee will not depend on his material resources, but on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can give real protection. This is called Rakshishyatiti Viswasa, or in the Bengali poetry of Bhaktivinoda Thakura's Sharanagati. Avasya Rakshipe Krishna Viswasa Palana. The surrendered soul must accept the fact that his real protector is Krishna, not his material acquisitions. Considering all these points, devotional service to Krishna is the real treasure house for the living entity. When one comes to the platform of devotional service, he always remains opulent in the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is barefoot of devotional service is swallowed by the black snake of the yoga system and bitten by the wax and thrones of fruitive activity, and he suffers consequent material miseries. Sometimes the living entity is misled into trying to merge into spiritual existence, thinking himself as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that when he comes to the spiritual platform, he will be disturbed and will again return to the material platform. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, such people may become sannyasis, but unless they take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, they will return to the material platform to perform philanthropic activities. In this way, one's spiritual life is lost. This is to be understood as being devoured by the black snake. Text 136. The revealed scriptures conclude that one should give up fruitive activities, speculative knowledge, and the mystic yoga system, and instead take to devotional service by which Krishna can be fully satisfied. Text 137. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna said, My dear Uddhava, neither through Ashtanga Yoga, the mystic yoga system to control the senses, nor through impersonal monism or an analytical study of the absolute truth, nor through study of the Vedas, nor through austerities, charity, or acceptance of sannyasa, can one satisfy me as much as by developing an alloyed devotional service unto me. These and the following verse are quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam. The explanation for this verse is given in Adi Lila 17.76. Text 138. Being very dear to the devotees and sadhus, I am attained through unflinching faith and devotional service. This Bhakti Yoga system, which gradually increases attachment for me, purifies even a human being born among dog eaters. That is to say, everyone can be elevated to the spiritual platform by the process of Bhakti Yoga. Text 139. The conclusion is that devotional service is the only means for approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This system is therefore called Abhideya. This is the verdict of all revealed scriptures. Purport. As Lord Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita, one can understand me as I am, as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. The aim of life is to get rid of the material conditioning and enter into spiritual existence. Although the Shastras prescribe different methods for different men, the Supreme Personality of Godhead says that one ultimately must accept the path of devotional service as the assured path of spiritual advancement. Devotional service to the Lord is the only process actually confirmed by the Lord. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam saranam praja. One must become a devotee if one wants to return home back to Godhead and become eternally blissful. Text 140. When one actually becomes rich, he naturally enjoys all kinds of happiness. When one is actually in a happy mood, all distressful conditions go away by themselves. No extraneous endeavor is needed. Text 141. Similarly, as a result of bhakti, one's dormant love for Krishna awakens. When one is so situated that he can taste the association of Lord Krishna, material existence, the repetition of birth and death comes to an end. Text 142. The goal of love of Godhead is not to become materially rich or free from material bondage. The real goal is to be situated in devotional service to the Lord and to enjoy transcendental bliss. Purport. The results of devotional service are certainly not material benefits or liberation from material bondage. The goal of devotional service is to be eternally situated in the loving service of the God and to enjoy spiritual bliss from that service. One is said to be in a poverty stricken condition when one forgotten the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to end such a life of poverty in order to automatically end the miserable conditions of material existence. One is automatically liberated from material enjoyment when one tastes the service of Krishna. One does not have to endeavor separately for opulence. Opulence automatically comes to the pure devotee, even though he does not desire material happiness. Text 143. In the Vedic literatures, Krishna is the central point of attraction and his service is our activity. To attain the platform of love of Krishna is life's ultimate goal. Therefore, Krishna's service and love of Krishna are the three great riches of life. Text 144. In all revealed scriptures, beginning with the Vedas, the central point of attraction is Krishna. When complete knowledge of him is realized, the boundaries of Maya, the illusory energy, is automatically broken. Text 145. There are many types of Vedic literatures and supplementary Puranas. In each of them, there are particular demigods who are spoken of as the chief demigods. This is just to create an illusion for moving and non moving living entities. Let them perpetually engage in such imaginations. However, when one analytically studies all these Vedic literatures collectively, he comes to the conclusion that Lord Vishnu is the one and only Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. This is a verse from the Padma Purana, text 146. When one accepts the Vedic literature by interpretation or even by dictionary meaning, directly or indirectly, the ultimate declaration of Vedic knowledge points to Lord Krishna. Text 147 to 148. Lord Krishna said, what is the purpose of all Vedic literatures? On whom do they focus? Who is the object of all speculation? Outside of me, no one knows these things. Now you should know that all these activities are aimed at ordaining and setting forth me. The purpose of the Vedic literatures is to know me by direct speculations, either by indirect understanding or by dictionary understanding. Everyone is speculating about me. The essence of all Vedic literatures is to distinguish me from Maya. By considering the illusory energy, one comes to the platform of understanding me. In this way, one becomes free from speculation about the Vedas and comes to me as the conclusion. Thus, one is satisfied. Purport. These two verses are quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam. When Uddhava asked Krishna about the purpose of Vedic speculation, the Lord informed him of the process of understanding the Vedic literature. The Vedas are composed of Karmakanda, Jnanakanda, and Upasanakanda. One who analytically studies the purpose of the Vedas understands that by Karmakanda, sacrificial activity, one comes to the conclusion of Jnanakanda, speculative knowledge, and that after speculation, one comes to the conclusion that worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate. When one comes to this conclusion, he becomes fully satisfied. Text 149. The transcendental form of Lord Krishna is unlimited and also has unlimited opulence. He possesses the internal potency, external potency, and marginal potency. Text 150. The material and the spiritual world are transformations of Krishna's external and internal potencies respectively. Therefore, Krishna is the original source of both the material and the spiritual manifestations. Text 151. The 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam reveals the 10th object, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the shelter of all surrendered souls. He is known as Sri Krishna and he is the ultimate source of all the living, all the universes. Let me offer my obeisances unto him. Purport. This is a quotation from the Bhavarta Deepika Sridhara Swami's commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a description of the Ashraya Tattva Sri Krishna. There are two tattvas, Ashraya Tattva and Ashrita Tattva. Ashraya Tattva is the objective and the Ashrita Tattva is the subjective. Since the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna are the shelter of all devotees, Sri Krishna is called Paramdhama. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan. Everything is resting under the lotus feet of Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated, under the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, the entire Mahat Tattva is existing. Since everything is under Sri Krishna's protection, Sri Krishna is called Ashraya Tattva. Everything else is called Ashrita Tattva. The material creation is also called Ashrita Tattva. Liberation from material bondage and the attainment of a spiritual platform are also Ashrita Tattva. Krishna is the only Ashraya Tattva. In the beginning of the creation, there are Mahavishnu, Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, and Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu. They are also Ashraya Tattva. Krishna is the cause of all causes, Sarva Karana Karanam. To understand Krishna perfectly, one has to make an analytical study of Ashraya Tattva and Ashrita Tattva. Text 152. O Sanātana, please hear about the eternal form of Lord Krishna. He is the absolute truth, devoid of duality, but present in Vrindavana as the son of Nanda Maharaja. Text 153. Krishna is the original source of everything and the sum total of everything. He appears as a supreme youth, and his whole body is composed of spiritual bliss. He is the shelter of everything and master of everyone. Purport. Krishna is the origin of all Vishnu Tattvas, including Mahavishnu, Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, and Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu. He is the ultimate goal of Vaishnava philosophy. Everything emanates from him. His body is completely spiritual and is the source of all spiritual being. Although he is the source of everything, he himself has no source. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam. Although he is the supreme source of everyone, he is still always a fresh youth. Text 154. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is a supreme controller. He has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. Purport. This is the first verse of the fifth chapter of Brahma Samhita. Text 155. The original Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna. His original name is Govinda. He is full of all opulences, and his eternal abode is known as Golaka Vrindavana. Text 156. All these incarnations of Godhead are either plenary portions or parts of the plenary portions of the Purusha avatars. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. In every age, he protects the world through his different features when the world is disturbed by the enemies of Indra. Purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam. See also Adi Lila chapter 2 verse 67, text 157. There are three kinds of spiritual process for understanding the absolute truth. The process of speculative knowledge, mystic yoga, and bhakti yoga. According to these three processes, the absolute truth is manifested as Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. Text 158. Learned transcendentalist who knows the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. Purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam. Those who are interested in the impersonal Brahman effulgence, which is not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can attain that goal by speculative knowledge. Those who are interested in practicing mystic yoga can attain the localized aspect of Paramatma, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hridesharjuna Tishtati. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated within the heart as Paramatma. He witnesses the activities of the living entities and gives them permission to act. For a further explanation, see Adi Lila chapter 2, verse 11. Text 159. The manifestation of the impersonal Brahman effulgence, which is without variety, is a race of Krishna's bodily effulgence. It is exactly like the sun. When the sun is seen by our ordinary eyes, it appears to consist simply of effulgence. Text 160. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is endowed with great power. The glowing effulgence of his transcendental form is the impersonal Brahman, which is absolute, complete, and unlimited, and which displays the varieties of countless planets with their different opulences in millions and millions of universes. Purport. This verse is quoted from the Brahma Samhita. For an explanation, refer to Adi Lila chapter 2, verse 14. Text 161. The Paramatma, the super soul future, is a plenary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the original soul of all living entities. Krishna is the source of the Paramatma. Text 162. You should know Krishna to be the original soul of all Atmas, living entities. For the benefit of the whole universe, he has, out of his causeless mercy, appeared as an ordinary human being. He has done this by the strength of his own internal potency. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam. Parikshit Maharaj asked Sukadeva Gosvāmī why Krishna was so beloved by the residents of Vrindavan, who loved him even more than their own offspring or life itself. At that time, Sukadeva Goswami replied that everyone's Atma or soul is very, very dear, especially to all living entities who have accepted material bodies. But that Atma, the spirit soul, is part and parcel of Krishna. For this reason, Krishna is very dear to every living entity. Everyone's body is very dear to oneself, and one wants to protect the body by all means because when within the body the soul is living. Due to the intimate relationship between the soul and the body is important and dear to everyone. Similarly, the soul, being part and parcel of Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is very, very dear to all living entities. Unfortunately, the soul forgets his constitutional position and thinks he is only the body. Dehatma Buddhi. Thus, the soul is subjected to the rules and regulations of material nature. When a living entity by his intelligence awakens his attraction for Krishna, he can understand that he is not the body but part and parcel of Krishna. Thus, filled with knowledge, he no longer labors under attachment to the body and everything related to the body. Material existence wherein one thinks, I am the body and this belongs to me, is also illusory. One must redirect his attraction to Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam states. वासुदेवे वसुदेवे भगवते भक्ति योग प्रयोजिता जानयाति असु वैराग्यम ज्ञानम चयत अहैतुकम. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. Text 163. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Perfect. This is a quotation from the Bhagavad Gita, text 164. Only by devotional activity can one understand the transcendental form of the Lord, which is perfect in all respects. Although his form is one, he can expand his form into unlimited numbers by his supreme will. Text 165. The Supreme Personality of Godhead exists in three principal forms: Swayam Rūpa, Tat Ekatma Rūpa, and Avesha Rūpa. Purport. Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī has described the Swayam Rūpa in his Lagu Bhagavatamrita, Purva Kanda, verse 12. Ananya Pekshi Yad Rūpam Swayam Rūpa Sayukshate. The form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that does not depend on other forms is called the Swayam Rūpa, the original form. This form is also described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That Krishna's form as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan is the original form of the personality of Godhead, Swayam Rūpa, is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Paramaha Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. There is nothing superior to Govinda. He is the ultimate source and the cause of all causes. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord says, Matta Parataram Nanyat. There is no truth superior to me. The third Ekatma Rupa forms are also described in the Lagu Bhagavatamrita, Purva Kanda, verse 14. Ed Rupam Tat Abedena Swarupena Virajate Aptyadivir Anyatrak Satat Ekatma Rupaka. The third Ekatma Rupa forms exist simultaneously with the Swayam Rupa form and are non-different. At the same time, their bodily features and specific activities appear to be different. The third Ekatma Rupa forms are divided into two categories, Vamsa and Vilasa. Lord Krishna's Avesa forms are also explained in the Lagu Bhagavatamrita, Purva 18. A living entity who is specifically empowered by the Lord with knowledge or strength is technically called Avesha Rupa. As stated in the Chaitanya Caritamrta, Krishna Sakti Vina Nahe Tara Pravartana. Unless a devotee is specifically empowered by the Lord, he cannot preach the holy name of the Lord all over the world. This is an explanation of the word Avesha Rupa. Text 166. The original form of the Lord Swayam Rupa is exhibited in two forms, Swayam Rupa and Swayam Prakasa. In his original form as Swayam Rupa, Krishna is observed as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan. Text 167. In his original form, Krishna manifests himself in two features, Prabhava and Vaibhava. He expands his one original form into many. as he did during the Lila dance. Text 168. When the Lord married 16,108 wives at Dwaraka, he expanded himself into many forms. These expansions and expansions at the Rasa dance are called Prabhava Prakasa according to the directions of revealed scriptures. Text 169. The Prabhava Prakasa expansions of Lord Krishna are not like the expansions of the sage Saubhari. Had they been so, Narada would not have been astonished to see them. Text 170. It is astounding that Lord Sri Krishna, who is one without a second, expanded himself in 16,000 similar forms to marry 16,000 queens in their respective homes. Purport. This verse is spoken by Narada Muni in Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 171. If one form or feature is differently manifested according to different emotional features, it is called Vaibhava Prakasa. Text 172. When the Lord expands himself in innumerable forms, there is no difference in the forms. But due to different features, bodily colors, and weapons, the names are different. Text 173. In different Vedic scriptures, there are prescribed rules and regulative principles for worshipping different types of forms. When one is purified by these rules and regulations, he worships you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although manifested in many forms, you are one. Purport. This verse is quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam. In the Vedas, it is stated that the one becomes many. Eko Bahusya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead expands himself in various forms: Vishnu Tattva, Jiva Tattva, and Shakti Tattva. According to the Vedic literatures, there are different regulative principles for the worship of each of these forms. If one takes advantage of the Vedic literatures and purifies himself by following the rules and regulations, ultimately he worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mama Vartaman Vartante Manushya Bharata Sarvasa. Worship of the demigods is in a sense worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But such worship is said to be avidit purvakam improper. Actually, demigod worship is meant for unintelligent man. One who is intelligent considers the word of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam. One who worships demigods worships the Supreme Lord indirectly. But according to the revealed scriptures, there is no need to worship him indirectly. One can worship him directly. Text 174. The first manifestations of the Vaibhava feature of Krishna is Sri Balaramji. Sri Balarama and Krishna have different bodily colors, but otherwise Sri Balarama is equal to Krishna in all respects. Purport. To understand the difference between Swayam Rūpa, Tadaikatma Rūpa, Avesha, Prabhava, and Vaibhava, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given the following description. In the beginning, Krishna has three bodily features. Swayam Rūpa, as a cowherd born in Vrindavan, Tadaikatma Rūpa, which is divided into Swamsaka and Vilasa, and Avesha Rūpa. The Swamsaka are expansions of the personal potency are Karanodaka Sai, Garbhodaka Sai, Kshirodaka Sai, and incarnations such as the fish, tortoise, boar, and Nrsimha. The Vilasa Rupa has a Prabhava division including Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. There is also a Vaibhava division in which there are 24 forms including the second Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. For each of these there are three forms, therefore there are 12 forms altogether. These 12 forms constitute the predominant names for the 12 months of the year as well as the 12 tilaka marks on the body. Each of the four personalities of Godhead expands into two other forms, thus there are 8 forms such as Purushottama, Achyuta, etc. The 4 forms Vasudeva, etc., thus 12 Keshava, etc., and the 8 Purushottama, etc., altogether constitute 24 forms. The forms are differently named in accordance with the placement of the weapons they hold in their forehands. Text 175. An example of Vaibhava Prakasa is a son of Devaki. He sometimes has 2 hands and sometimes 4 hands. Purport. When Lord Krishna took his birth, he appeared outside the womb as 4-handed Vishnu. Then Devaki and Vasudeva offered their prayers to him and asked him to assume his 2-handed form. The Lord immediately assumed his two-handed form and ordered that he be transferred to Goloka on the other side of the river Yamuna. That he be transferred to Gokula on the other side of the river Yamuna. Text 176. When the Lord is two-handed, he is called Vaibhava Prakasha, and when he is four-handed, he is called Prabhava Prakasha. Text 177. In his original form, the Lord dresses like a cowherd boy and thinks himself one. When he appears as Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, his dress and consciousness are those of a Kshatriya, a warrior. Text 178. When one compares the beauty, opulence, sweetness, and intellectual pastimes of Vasudeva, the warrior to Krishna, the cowherd boy, son of Narada, son of Nanda Maharaj, one sees that Krishna's attributes are more pleasant. Text 179. Indeed, Vasudeva is hesitated just to see the sweetness of Govinda, and the transcendental greed awakens in him to enjoy that sweetness. Text 180. My dear friend, this dramatic actor appears like a second form of my own self. Like a picture, he displays my pastimes as a cowherd boy overflowing with wonderfully attractive sweetness and fragrance, which are so dear to the damsels of Brasa. When I see such a display, my heart becomes greatly excited. I long for such pastimes and desire a form exactly like that of the damsels of Raja. Purport. This verse is found in the Lalita Madhava. It was spoken by Vasudeva in Dwaraka. Text 181. One instance of Vasudeva's attraction to Krishna occurred when Vasudeva saw the Gandharva dance at Mathura. Another instance occurred in Dwaraka when Vasudeva was surprised to see a picture of Krishna. Text 182. Who manifests an abundance of sweetness greater than mine, which has never been experienced before and which causes wonder to all. Alas, I myself, my mind bewildered upon seeing this beauty, impetuously desired to enjoy it like Srimati Radharani. Purport. This verse spoken by Vasudeva in Dwaraka is also recorded by Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī in his Lalita Madhva. Text 183. When that body is a little differently manifested as it and its features are a little different in transcendental emotion and form. It is called Tad Ekatma. Text 184. In the third Ekatma Rūpa, there are pastime expansions, vilasa, and personal expansions, swamsa. Consequently, there are two divisions. According to pastime and personal expansion, there are various differences. Purport. The Lord's Vilas expansions are described in the following verse from the Lagu Bhagavatamrita. When the Lord displays numerous forms with different futures by his inconceivable potency, such forms are called Vilasa Vigrahas. The Lord's Vamsa expansions are also described in the Lagu Bhagavatamrita. Lagu Bhagavatamrita. When a form of Krishna is non-different from the original form, but is less important and exhibits less potential, it is called Swamsa. Examples of Swamsa expansions can be found in the quadruple forms of the Lord residing in their respective places. Beginning with Sankarshana, Vasudeva, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, and also in the Purusha avatars, Lila avatars, Manvantara avatars, and Yuga avatars. Text 185. Again, the Vilasa forms are divided into twofold categories, Prabhava and Vaibhava. Again, the pastimes of these forms are of unlimited variety. Text 186. The chief quadruple expansions are named Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. These are called Prabhava Vilasa. Text 187. Balarama, who has the same original form as Krishna, is himself a cowherd boy in Vrindavan, and he also considers himself a member of the Kshatriya Rasa race in Dwaraka. Thus, his color and dress are different, and he is called a pastime form of Krishna. Text 188. Sri Balarama is a Vaibhava Prakasha manifestation of Krishna. He is also manifested in the original quadruple expansions of Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. These are Prabhava Vilas expansions with different emotions. Text 189. The first expansion of the Chaturvyuha quadruple forms is unique. There is nothing to compare with them. These quadruple forms are the source of unlimited quadruple forms. Text 190. These four Prabhava pastime forms of Lord Krishna reside eternally in Dwaraka and Mathura. Text 191. From the original quadruple expansions, 24 forms are manifested. They differ according to the placement of the weapons in their four hands. They are called Vaibhava Vilasa. Text 192. Lord Krishna again expands, and within the Paravayoma, the spiritual sky, he is situated in fullness as a four-handed Narayana, accompanied by expansions of the original quadruple form, purport. At the top of the Paravayoma, the spiritual sky, there is Golaka Vrindavan, which is divided into three parts. Two of the parts called Mathura and Dwaraka, and the residence of Krishna in his Prabha Vilasa forms. Balarama Krishna's Vaibhava Prakasa is eternally situated in Gokula. From the quadruple Prabhava Vilasa, 24 forms of the Vaibhava Vilasa are expanded. Each has four hands holding weapons in different positions. The topmost planet is in the spiritual sky is Golaka Vrindavan, and below that planet is the spiritual sky itself. In that spiritual sky, Krishna himself is four-handed and is situated as Narayana. Text 193. Thus, the original quadruple forms again manifest themselves in the second set of quadruple expansions. The residences of this second quadruple expansions cover the four directions. Text 194. Again, these quadruple forms expand three times, beginning with Keshava, that is a fulfillment of the pastime forms. Text 195. Out of the Chaturvyuha, there are three expansions of each and every form, and they are named differently according to the position of the weapons. The Vasudeva expansions are Keshava, Narayana, and Madhava. Text 196. The expansions of Sankarsana are Govinda, Vishnu, and Madhusudana. This Govinda is different from the original Govinda, for he is not the son of Maharaja Nanda. Text 197. The expansions of Pradyumna are Trivikrama, Vamana, and Sridhara. The expansions of Aniruddha are Rishikesha, Padmanabha, and Damodara. Text 198. These 12 are the predominating deities of the 12 months. Keshava is the predominating deity of Agrahayana, and Narayana is the predominating deity of Pausa. Text 199. The predominating deity of the month of Magha is Madhava, and the predominating deity of the month of Falguna is Govinda. Vishnu is the predominating deity of Chaitra, and Madhusudana is the predominating deity of Vishaka. Text 200. In the month of Jyeshtha, the predominating deity is Trivikrama. In Ashada, the deity is Vamana. In Shravana, the deity is Sridhara. And in Bhadra, the deity is Rishikesha. Text 201. In the month of Ashvina, the predominating deity is Padmanabha, and in Kartika, it is Damodara. This Damodara is different from Radha Damodara, the son of Nanda Maharaja in Vrindavana. Text 202. When putting the 12 tilaka marks on the 12 places of the body, one has to chant the mantra consisting of these 12 Vishnu names. After daily worship, when one anoints the different parts of the body with water, these names should be chanted as one touches each part of the body. Purport. While marking the body with tilaka, one should chant the following mantra, which consists of 12 names of Lord Vishnu. ललाटे केशवं ध्यायेन् नारायणम् अतोदरे वक्षस्थले माधवं तु गोविन्दं कान्तकूपके विष्णुं च दक्षिणे कुक्ष बहु च मधुसूदनं त्रिविक्रमं कान्दारे तु वामनं Parspake Sridharam Vama Bahatu, Rishikesham tu Kandare, Stesha Padmanabhamsha, Katyam Damodaram Nyaset. When one marks the forehead with Tilaka, he must remember Keshava. When one marks the lower abdomen, he must remember Narayana. For the chest, one should remember Madhava, and when marking the hollow of the neck, one should remember Govinda. Lord Vishnu should be remembered while marking the right side of the belly. And Madhusudana should be remembered when marking the right arm. Trivikrama should be remembered when marking the right shoulder. And Vamana should be remembered when marking the left side of the belly. Sridhara should be remembered while marking the left arm. And Rishikesha should be remembered when marking the left shoulder. Padmanabha and Damodara should be remembered when marking the bag. Text 203. From Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, there are 8 additional pastime expansions. For Sanātana, please hear me as I mention their names. Text 204. The 8 pastime expansions are Purushottama, Achyuta, Narasimha, Janardana, Hari Krishna, Adoksaja, and Upendra. Text 205. Of these 8 expansions, there are pastime forms of that out of these 8 expansions, 2 are pastime forms of Vasudeva. Their names are Adoksaja and Purushottama. The 2 pastime forms of Sankarsana are Upendra and Achyuta. Text 206. The pastime forms of Pradyumna are Narasimha and Janardana, and the pastime forms of Aniruddha are Hari and Krishna. Text 207. All these 24 forms constitute the chief Prabhava Vilasa pastime forms of the Lord. They are named differently according to the position of the weapons in their hands. Text 208. Of all these, the forms that differ in dress and features are distinguished as Vaibhava Vilasa. Text 209. Of them, Padmanabha, Trivikrama, Nrsimha, Vamana, Hare Krishna, and so on all have different bodily features. Text 210. Vasudeva and the 3 others are different Prabhava pastime forms of Lord Krishna. Of these quadruple forms, the pastime expansions are 20 in number. Text 211. All these forms preside over different Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual world. Beginning from the east in consecutive order, in each of the 8 directions there are 3 different forms. Text 212. Although they all have their residence eternally in the spiritual sky, some of them are situated within the material universes. Text 213. There is an eternal residence of Narayana in the spiritual sky. In the upper portion of the spiritual sky is a planet known as Krishnaloka, which is filled with all opulences. Text 214. The planet of Krishnaloka is divided into 3 sections, Gokula, Mathura, and Dwaraka. Text 215. Lord Keshava eternally resides at Mathura, and Lord Purushottama, known by the name Jagannatha, eternally resides at Neelachala. Text 216. At Prayaga, the Lord is situated as Bindu Madhava, and at Mandara Parvata, the Lord is known as Madhusudana. Vasudeva, Padmanabha, and Janardana reside at Anandaranya. Text 217. At Vishnukanchi, there is Lord Vishnu, at Mayapur, Lord Hari, and throughout the universe, a variety of other forms. Purport. All of these forms are Murti forms, and they are worshipped in the temples. Their names are Keshava at Mathura, Purushottama or Janardana, Purushottama or Jagannatha at Neelachala, Sri Bindumadhava at Prayaga, Madhusudana at Mandara, and Vasudeva, Padmanabha and Janardana at Anandaranya, which is situated in Kerala, South India. At Vishnukanchi is Lord Varadaraja, and Hari is situated in Mayapur, Lord Caitanya's birth site. Thus, in different places throughout the universe, there are various deities in temples bestowing their causeless mercy upon the devotees. All these deity forms are non-different from the murtis in the spiritual world of the Vaikunthas. Although the Archamurti, the worshipful deity form of the Lord, appears to be made of material elements, it is as good as the spiritual forms found in the spiritual Vaikuntha lokas. The deity in the temple, however, is visible to the material eyes of the devotee. It is not possible for one in material conditioned life to see the spiritual form of the Lord. To bestow causeless mercy upon us, the Lord appears as the Archamurti so that we can see him. It is forbidden to consider the Archamurti to be made of stone or wood. In the Padma Purana, it is said, no one should consider the deity in the temple to be made of stone or wood, nor should one consider the spiritual master an ordinary human being. No one should consider a Vaishnava to belong to a particular caste or creed, and no one should consider Charanamrita or Ganges water to be like ordinary water. Nor should anyone consider the Hare Krishna Mahamantra to be a material vibration. All these expansions of Krishna in the material world are simply demonstrations of the Lord's mercy and willingness to give facility to his devotees who are engaged in his devotional service within the material world.
Text 218. Within the universe, the Lord is situated in different spiritual manifestations. These are situated on 7 islands of 9 sections. Thus, their pastimes are going on. Purport. The 7 islands are mentioned in Siddhanta Shiromani. Bhumya Ardham Kshara, Sinhor Udak Stam, Yambudvipam Prahur Acharya Varya, Ardenya Vipa Shat Kasyayamya, Ksharak Shradi, Ambudinam Niversha, Shakam Tata, Shalmalam, Atra Kausham, Krauncham Ca Gomedaka, Pushkareca, Dvayor Antaram, Ekam, Samudra Yor Dvipam, Udaharanti. The 7 island Dvipas are known as Jambu, Shaka, Shalmali, Kusha, Krauncha, Gomeda, Laksha, and Pushkara. The planets are called Dvipas. Outer space is like the ocean of, like an ocean of air. Just as there are islands in the watery ocean, these planets on the ocean of space are called Dvipas, or islands in outer space. There are 9 khandas known as Bharata, Kinara, Hari, Kuru, Hiranmaya, Ramyaka, Ilavrta, Khadashra, and Ketumala. These are different parts of Jambudvipa. A valley between 2 mountains is called Kandada or Varsa. Text 219. The Lord is situated in all the universes in different forms just to please his devotees. Thus the Lord destroys religious principles and establishes religious principles. Purport. In the material world, the Lord is situated in different Archamurtis, deities, in the temples just to decrease the material activities of the conditioned soul and increase his spiritual activities. Particularly in India, there are many temples throughout the country. Devotees may take advantage of them and go see the Lord at Jagannatha Puri, Vrindavana, Prayaga, Mathura, Hardwa, and Vishnukansi. When the devotees travel to these places and see the Lord, they become very happy in devotional service. Text 220. Of these forms, some are considered incarnations. Examples are Lord Vishnu, Lord Trivikrama, Lord Nrsimha, and Lord Vamana. Text 221. My dear Sanātana, just hear from me as I tell you how the different Vishnu Murtis hold their weapons, beginning with the disc, and how they are named differently according to the placement of the weapons in their hands. Text 222. The procedure of counting begins with the lower right hand and goes to the upper right hand, the upper left hand, and the lower left hands. Lord Vishnu is named according to the order of the weapons he holds in his hands. Text 223. According to Siddhartha Samhita, there are 24 forms of Lord Vishnu. First, I shall describe, according to the opinion of that book, the location of the weapons beginning with the disc. Purport. The 24 forms are Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Keshava, Narayana, Madhava, Govinda, Vishnu, Madhusudana, Trivikrama, Vamana, Sridhara, Hrishikesha, Padma Nabha, Damodara, Purushottama, Achyuta, Nrsimha, Janardana, Hari, Krishna, Adhokshaya, and Upendra. Text 224, translation. In his lower right hand, Lord Vasudeva holds a club. In the upper right hand is a conch shell. In the upper left hand, a disc. And the lower left hand, a lotus flower. In his lower right hand, Sankarshana holds a club. In his upper right hand, a conch shell. In his upper left hand, a lotus flower. And in his lower left hand, a disc. Text 225. Pradyuma holds a disc, conch, club, and lotus. Aniruddha holds a disc, club, conch, and lotus. Text 226. Thus, in the spiritual sky, the expansions headed by Vasudeva hold weapons in their own respective order. I am repeating the opinion of the Siddhartha Samhita in describing them. Text 227. Lord Keshava holds the lotus, conch, disc, and club. Lord Narayana holds the conch, lotus, club, and disc. Text 228. Lord Madhya holds the club, disc, conch, and lotus. Lord Govinda holds the disc, club, lotus, and conch. Text 229. Lord Vishnu holds the club, lotus, conch, and disc. Lord Matsudana holds the disc, conch, lotus, and club. Text 230. Lord Trivikrama holds the lotus, club, disc, and conch. Lord Vamana holds the conch, disc, club, and lotus. Text 231. Lord Sridhara holds the lotus, disc, club, and conch. Lord Hrishikesha holds the club, disc, lotus, and conch. Text 232. Lord Padma Nabha holds the conch, lotus, disc, and club. Lord Damodara holds the lotus, disc, club, and conch. Text 233. Lord Purushottama holds the disc, lotus, conch, and club. Lord Achyuta holds the club, lotus, disc, and conch. Text 234. Lord Nrsimha holds the disc, lotus, club, and conch. Lord Janardana holds the lotus, disc, conch, and club. Text 235. Sri Hari holds the conch, disc, lotus, and club. Lord Sri Krishna holds the conch, club, lotus, and disc. Text 236. Lord Anokshaya holds the lotus, club, conch, and disc. Lord Upendra holds the conch, club, disc, and lotus. Text 237. According to Hayashirsha Panchararta, Yashirsha Panchararta. There are 16 personalities. I shall now describe that opinion of how they hold the weapons. Purport. The 16 personalities are as follows: Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyuma, Aniruddha, Yashava, Narayana, Madhava, Govinda, Vishnu, Madhusudana, Trivikrama, Vamana, Sridhara, Hrishikesha, Padmanabha, and Damodara. Text 238. Keshava is described differently. As holding the lotus, conch, club, and disc, and Madhva is described as holding disc, club, conch, and lotus in his hands. Text 239. According to Hayashirsha Panchararta, Narayana and others are also presented differently as holding the weapons in different hands. Text 240. Krishna, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, indicated as the son of Maharajananda, has two names. One is Swayam Bhagavan and the other is Lila Purushottama. Text 241. Lord Krishna personally surrounds Dwarakapuri as its protector. In different parts of the city, in 9 places, he expands in 9 different forms. Text 242. The 9 personalities mentioned are Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Narayana, Nrsimha, Hayagriva, Varaha, and Brahma. Purport. This verse is found in Laghu Bhagavat Amrita. 1.451. The Brahma mentioned herein is not a living entity. Sometimes when there is a scarcity of living entities to take charge of Brahma's post, Mahavishnu expands himself as Lord Brahma. This Brahma is not considered to be a living entity. He's an expansion of Vishnu. Text 243. I have already described the pastime of Prakasha forms. Now please hear about the different personal expansions. Text 244. The first personal expansion is Sankarshana, and the others are incarnation like the fish incarnation. Sankarshana is an expansion of the Purusha or Vishnu. The incarnations such as Madhya, the fish incarnation, appear in different yugas for specific pastimes. Purport. The Purusha avatars are the lords of the universal creation. These are Karanodaka Shayi Vishnu, Grabho Dakashayi Vishnu, and Kshirodaka Shari Vishnu. There are also lila avatars, and these include Shatuksana, the four Kumaras, Narada, Varaha, Matsya, Yaina, Narayana, Kardami Kapila, Datatreya, Haya Shirsha, Hamsa, Dhruvapriya, Prishnegarbha, Shabsa, Prithu, Nrsimha, Kurma, Dhanvartari, Mohini, Vamana, Bhargava Parashurama, Raghavendra, Vyasa, Pralambhari Balarama, Krishna, Buddha, and Kalki. These 25 personalities of Godhead are known as lila avatars. Because they appear in each day of Brahma or each kalpa millennium, they are sometimes known as kalpa avatars. Of these incarnations, Hamsa and Mohini are neither permanent nor very well known, but they are listed among the Prabhava avatars. Kapila, Dattatreya, Rapsa, Vantari, and Vyasa are eternally situated and very widely known. They also counted among the Prabhava incarnation. Kurma, Matsya, Narayana, Varaha, Hayagriva, Prishnegarbha, and Baladeva, the killer of Parambasura, are counted among the Vaibhava avatars. Text 245. There are 6 types of incarnations, avatars of Krishna. One comprises the incarnations of Vishnu, Purusha avatars, and another comprises incarnations meant for the performance of pastimes, lila avatars. Text 246. There are incarnations that control the material qualities, guna avatars. Incarnations who appear during the reign of each Manu, Manvantara avatars. Incarnations in different millenniums, Yuga avatars, and incarnations of empowered living entities, Shakya Yavesha avatars. Purport. The guna avatars are 3: Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu. The Bhagavad Gita 10.88.3. The avatars who appear during the reign of each Manu, known as Manvatara avatars, are listed as follows in Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, chapters 1, 5, and 13. Yajna, Vibhu, Satyasena, Hari, Vaikunta, Ajita, Vamana, Sarvabhauma, Shapsa, Vishvaksena, Dharmasetu, Sudama, Yogeshvara, and Bhrada Banu. Altogether, these are 14 in number, and of these, Yajna and Vamana are also counted among lila avatars. All these Manvatara incarnations are sometimes called Vaibhava avatars. The 4 Yuga avatars are Shukla, white, and Satya in Satya Yuga, Bhagavad Gita 11.5.21, 2 Rakta, red, in Treta Yuga, Bhagavad Gita 11.5.24, 3 Shyama, dark blue, in Dvapara Yuga, Bhagavad Gita 11.5.27, and 4 generally Krishna, black, but in special cases Pita, yellow, as Caitanya Mahāprabhu in Kali Yuga, Bhagavad Gita 11.5.32 and 10.5.8.13. The Shakshabesha avatars are categorized into forms of divine absorption. Number one, Bhagavata Vesha, such as Kapila Deva or Rishasa Deva. And two divinely empowered forms, Shaktya Vesha, of whom 7 are foremost. One, Sheshanaga in the Vaikuntha worlds, empowered for the personal service of the Supreme Lord, Sevanana Shakti. Two, Ananta Deva, empowered to bear all the planets within the universe, Pudharana Shakti. Three, Lord Brahma, empowered with the energy to create the cosmic manifestation, Shrishti Shakti. For Satunhasana, or the Kumaras, is specifically empowered to distribute transcendental knowledge, Jnana Shakti. 5. Narada Muni, empowered to distribute devotional service, Bhakti Shakti. And 6. Maharaja Prathu, specifically empowered to rule and maintain the living entities, Palana Shakti. And 7. Parashurama is specifically empowered to cut down rogues and demon, Dushta Damana Shakti.
Text 247 translation. Childhood and boyhood are the typical ages of deity Krishna. The son of Maharaj Nanda performed his pastime as a child and as a boy. Text 248 translation. There are innumerable incarnations of Krishna, and there is no possibility of counting them. We can simply indicate them by giving the example of the moon and the branches of the tree. Purport. Although the moon appears to be located in the branch of a tree, it is actually situated very far away. Similarly, none of the avatars or incarnation of Lord Krishna are within this material world, but they are visible by causeless mercy of Lord. We should not consider them to belong to this material world, as stated by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 9.11. Who's deride me when I descend in a human form? They do not know my transcendental nature as a supreme Lord of all that be. Avatars descend of their own free will, and although they may act like ordinary human beings, they do not belong to this material world. Lord Krishna and his avatars can be understood only by the grace of Lord. The Supreme Lord is not obtained by means of expert explanation, vast intelligence, or even such hearing. He is obtained only by one whom he himself chooses. To such a person, he manifests his own form. My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue studying the Vedas for many years. Text 249, translation. O learned Brahmins, just as hundreds and thousands of small rituals issues from great reservoir of water, innumerable incarnation flow from Shri Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the reservoir of all power. Purport. This verse is quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.26. Text 250. Translation. In the beginning, Krishna incarnation himself as a Purushotta avatars or Vishnu incarnation. These are of three types. Purport. Up to this verse, the many types of expansion have been described. Now the manifestation of Lord's different potencies will be described. Text 251 translation. Vishnu has three forms called Purushas. The first, Mahavishnu, is the creator of the total material energy, Mahat. The second, Garbhayishnu, Garbhodasi, who is situated within each universe. And third, Krishnadasi, who lived in the heart of every living being. He who knows these three become liberated from clutches of Maya. Purport. This verse appears in Laghu Bhagavatmatra, where it was quoted as Sattva Tantra. Text 252 translation. Krishna has unlimited potencies, out of which three are chief: willpower, the power of knowledge, and the creative energy. Text 253 translation. The predominator of the willing potency is Lord Krishna. For by his supreme will, everything will be existence. In willing, there is a need for knowledge, and that knowledge is expressed through Vasudeva. Text 254 translation. There is no possibility of creation without thinking, feeling, willing, knowledge, and activity. The combination of the supreme will, knowledge, and action brings about the cosmic manifestation. Text 255 translation. Lord Sanskara is Lord Balarama. Being the predominator of the creative energy, he creates both the material and the spiritual world. Text 256 translation. That original samskara, the Lord Balaram, is the cause of both the material and spiritual creation. He is the predominating deity of egoism, and by the will of Krishna and power of spiritual energy, he creates the spiritual world, which consists of the planet Goloka Vrindavan and the Vaikuntha planet. Text 257 translation. Although there is no question of a creation as far as spiritual world is concerned, spiritual world is not less manifested by the supreme will of samskara, and the spiritual world is the abode of the pastime of the eternal spiritual energy. Text 258 translation. Goloka, the supreme abode and planet appears like lotus flower that has thousands petals. The whole of the lotus of the abode of the Supreme Lord Krishna. The lotus-shaped supreme abode is created by the will of Lord Ananta. Purport. This verse is quoted from Brahma Samhita 5.2. Text 259 translation. By the agency of material energy, this same Lord Sanskara creates all the universe. The dull material energy known as modern language as nature is not a cause of the material universe. Text 260, translation. Without the Supreme Personality of Godhead's energy, dull matter cannot create the cosmic manifestation. Its power does not arise from the material energy itself, but it is endured by sanskarana. Text 261. Translation. Dull matter alone cannot create anything. The material energy produces the creation of the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Iron itself has no power to burn, but the iron is placed in fire, it is empowered to burn. Text 262, translation. Balarama and Krishna are the original efficient and material causes of the material world. As Mahavishnu and the material energy, they enter into the material elements and create the diversities by multi-energies. Thus, they are the causes of all causes. Purport. This verse is quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.46.31. Text 263 translation. The form of the Lord that descends into the material world is to create called an avatara or incarnation. Text 264 translation. All the explanation of Lord Krishna are actually residents of the spiritual world, but when they descend into the material world, they are called incarnation. Text 265 translation. To glance over that material energy, empower his Lord Sanskara, first incarnation as Lord Mahavishnu. Text 266 translation. In the beginning of the creation, the Lord explained himself in the form of Purusha incarnation, accompanied by all the ingredients of material creation. First, he created the 16 principal energies suitable for creation. This was for the purpose of manifesting the material universes. Purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.1 for an